I was watching one of your podcasts and I thought it was interesting because I saw it on a couple of different men's health clips. And something as like a woman I have no idea about or knew the significance was like morning wood. So waking up with a boner and like what is the health significance? What story does that tell and why is it important?
I would say in general, it's probably a good proxy for hormone status in general. So for men, when you're a teenager and you first go through puberty, a lot are familiar with this. And then they notice as they get older, it starts to, I guess, because it's such a gradual thing, it's not like overnight, it just stops happening. They just, years later, some individuals notice, oh, wow, I don't even remember the last time I had this. And oftentimes it can be one of the, like, I wouldn't determine a person's hormone status like, oh, you're clearly low T if you don't have morning wood. I would not say that, but it's certainly one of the proxies for, oh, maybe you should check on, do you have other symptoms that are related to hormone dysfunction, and have you had a blood test to kind of assess where you're at? Because it is kind of odd if you don't have any other underlying like psychological issues necessarily. Like some individuals who are excessive masturbators or excessive porn watchers, like maybe it might be more typical to not have morning wood because they're just abusing their like dopamine circuitry so dramatically. But for people with just, normal average people, if they are noticing that it hasn't happened in months or even weeks realistically, it would be worthwhile to kind of see where things are at under the hood, because it could be a reflection of low testosterone or an imbalance.
Does it have anything to do with like hip health as well as far as circulation goes? Because I think that's something I also saw.
Yeah, like circulation issues, if you are somebody who, like, having erectile quality can be dictated by actual circulatory health too, for sure. In general, I guess maybe my demo is more leaning towards the younger to middle-aged male, so I don't necessarily find guys having erectile issues as much from circulatory issues, but that definitely can be, I wouldn't say for certain that you should write it off as that, but it could be a factor, certainly. And that would be one of the things that you would try and deduce as you kind of go down the laundry list of, is it a hormone issue? Is it a, like, what's my blood pressure like? Is it a circulation issue, etc.? Yeah.
So you mentioned dopamine abuse. So is what is the difference between the dopamine that you get from eating, the dopamine that you get from orgasm, and obviously like there is a difference neurologically versus when you masturbate versus when you climax with someone else. It's like it triggers different parts of the brain, so they are different. And then dopamine that you get, which is supposed to be really intense from a cold plunge, like it's something like a 4 hour spike you're supposed to get.
The spike in adrenergic signaling, which is like your adrenaline fight or flight system, is dramatic, where you could have, I'm sure if you've ever done it, you know how intense it is. And the spike in norepinephrine is pretty significant from it, where it is comparable to, certain drugs of that nature. But I would say that to delineate between like the dopamine that you get from food versus, I don't know, like synthetic induced activities like masturbation to porn or whatnot, it's kind of like you're just acclimating your body to certain different kinds of stimulatory input to achieve that neurotransmitter release, which is, can be problematic or not problematic depending on what activities are tied to that, like, reward signaling. So like when you have somebody who is pleasure eating or
Mhm.
masturbating to achieve a very, very easy dopamine hit, like, I would say in general, those people are potentially reinforcing bad eating habits, or on the opposite side of the spectrum, reinforcing bad, I don't know, like low effort,
Like
even
coping
like,
mechanism kind of.
yeah, but also reinforcing what is likely to be a lower quality dating life, I would say, because it's significantly inhibiting your drive to actually go meet a partner and probably impeding your quality of sex too, even when you have a partner with you. Obviously, there is like a balancing act with this. It's not to say
Mhm.
that no one can masturbate or watch porn, but if it's to excess, oftentimes that's where you get people getting into obesity territory, or people getting into, you know, dysfunctional relationships, or people who are just homebodies and essentially become hermits. And there's a lot of people that are just complacently living their lives in their homes and are, haven't had sexual activity in years. And it's ever growing proportion of young men, especially.